Mark, by the way, Jenny and Randy have 1 week seniority on you.
But they were forced to go to Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
I think I would take the trade-off.
Yeah.
Me too, I would have gone.
All right, welcome, everybody. After that, it's time for roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Present.
Alderwoman Swanson.
Here,
Alderman Parker.
Here.
Alderman Pulis.
Here.
Alderman Geenan.
Here.
Alderman Clark.
Here.
Alderman Hurt.
Here.
Mayor Tomes.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have item number 5.
Minutes of the executive session of May 13th, 2019.
Move to approve the executive session minutes.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes. Item 6, update. Couple items. We have Whitewater Junction opening. Summer will be coming, won't it? Winter Whitewater Junction Aqua Center season opens Saturday, May 25th, 2019. Whitewater Junction is a 0-depth to 9-foot deep pool featuring slides and fun for the whole family. Grab your swimsuit, head out Memorial Day weekend with your family and friends. You can call 309-732-SWIM for more information. And we have holiday observance. In observance of the Memorial Day, City Hall will be closed Monday, May 27th, 2019. The refuge, recycling, and yard waste schedule will be 1 day late all week. The City of Rock Island wishes everyone a very happy and safe Memorial Weekend. We got Laura's Legacy ALS Benefit Concert. Laura's Legacy and the Park and Recreation Department is returning for its 8th annual event to Schwiebert Riverfront Park in downtown Rock Island on June 8th, 2019. Attendees for all ages can enjoy live music with Lizzie and 2 other artists. Come out to support a great cause with food and fun, family fun, right on the Mississippi River. Gates open at 3 p.m. and tickets are $10. Cash only and free for children under the age of 12 with a paid adult. Food will be available for purchase, and Bent River Brewing Company will be selling wine, beer, and spirits. For more information, please call 309-732-7275. Thank you very much. And we have item number 7.
Presentation of the April 2019 Keep Rock Island Beautiful Award.
Come up. Want to tell the people about it, and then
Keep Rock Island Beautiful presents a monthly award during the summer months to the businesses that try to keep Rock Island, excuse me, looking good throughout the year. And this month, CVS was selected as the recipient.
very good. I believe there's somebody here from CVS.
Yes.
You guys want to come up here? We'll do a little photo op, and then if you want to say something, you're more than welcome to. We appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Right, it's my wide. 1, 2, 3. Good deal.
Thank you very much. Thank you for what you do. You want to say something? We're good. Item number 8.
Mayor Tomes will close the regular meeting and open a public hearing regarding the HUD CDBG Program Year 2018 Consolidated Annual Performance Report.
All right, we're going to close the regular meeting, open a public hearing, and those in presentation for the HUD, CBDG.
Every year, we have to do kind of a public hearing on how we spent our money, what we spent our money on, how we spent our money, and what we did during the preceding year. So this is the public hearing, kind of vetting what we did. Colleen is our complete expert on this whole thing. This is the caper one, right? Thank you. So we got so many HUD things going on, it's all over the place, but it is a public hearing on this, so.
Okay.
That's where we are.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak in regards to it or ask questions? No one else in the audience? All right.
Mayor, I have a question. Can I?
Yes, you may.
Chandler or Colleen, is this the same report that we were briefed on a few months ago in study session? Or is that a different caper? Okay, well, maybe it was not during a study session, but,
You talked about money, I think, for rehabbing homes that, like roofs or toilets or
No.
whatever. What did that was?
no, it was a
No?
caper, but, okay. If it wasn't, then I must be thinking of something else. No big deal.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, any other council person have a question? All right, we'll close the open meeting and reconvene the regular meeting
And entertain a
and
motion.
entertain a motion.
Move
Thank
to
you.
accept and approve the program year 2018 Consolidated Annual Performance Report as submitted.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 9.
Mayor Tomes will close the regular meeting and open a public hearing regarding the HUD CDBG 2019 to 2023 Consolidated and Annual Action Plans.
All right, regular meeting is closed. Open meeting, public meeting.
So we are embarking on another 5-year plan, and unfortunately, part of HUD's process and system isn't working, so there are some blanks in here that the system actually populates for us. So as you read through these, you know, they will be all completed, but until HUD fixes its glitch, we can't. And we have a deadline, so we have to keep moving forward. But this is how we're going to spend money for the next 5 years. And we worked very hard to broaden the scope of this consolidated plan this year, because the previous consolidated plan was very myopic in its scope, and it didn't allow us to do certain things that are eligible activities, and we want to be able to have that flexibility. So this plan gives us that flexibility and will enable us to, you know, enhance services and provide additional monies in places that we didn't do that in the past.
Is there anybody in the audience or the council have any questions?
I have a comment and a question.
Okay.
Comment is thank you very much for all the hard work that you've been doing on the HUD front. It's to be commended, and very much thank you for all of your hard work. The question is, so this plan is based off of the impediment, or part of what this plan is based off of is the impediments assessment that we just had done, correct?
They work hand in hand, and we should use the analysis every year when we're doing when we're deciding how money should be spent. We should be looking at the analysis, but the analysis of impediments also it is, as I told you, a snapshot in time about where we're at with certain aspects of how we deal with housing and protected populations. You know, so the analysis gives us a springboard to change or not change things that we do within the city, you know, and how we approach certain aspects of, you know, ordinances, zoning, those kinds of things. We are, Alan is going through that plan right now because he has some issues that I will be forwarding to our consultant, because he says that they haven't read our zoning ordinances correctly. So, you know, that's a good thing,
They being HUD, or the consultant that did the assessment?
that we hired to do the assessment.
So Alan thinks that there's not perhaps so many,
That, well, the way we deal with families and how they're plugged into the different zones and
Right.
stuff is much broader than what they're giving us credit for.
yeah, I read in the analysis that we were, I don't know if I want to say dinged or whatever, but the way in which we define a family is through blood or something else.
No, and that's not true. If you read our ordinance is very broad and very, it allows for many different definitions of family.
Right.
So that's one of the things he's working on.
Okay.
And we will provide them with all that backup.
Okay, another quick follow-up, maybe not quick, to that is, so there's a number of, I guess, goals or action items or whatever you want to call them identified in that fair housing impediments analysis document. Then we have our plan here. Like you said, a lot of it was missing just because of the technical issue with HUD's software or whatever it is. But will we include the issues identified, or the goals, or whatever you want to call them, identified in the impediments document in the action plan document?
We can do that, but the consolidated plan is about funding,
Okay,
okay? The analysis of impediments to fair housing, that is more about how we structure our ordinances and how we deal with things within a city framework, a government framework. And so basically, we would need, for the analysis, we want to sit down and look at, is this framed correctly? Does this meet a need within the city? But it wouldn't be anything that we would actually move funding towards, for the most part, you know? So you have to have one to have the other, but they don't necessarily meet up or mesh. They work side by side.
yeah.
You know, so it would be a matter of looking at that, and it's really a council decision and a city staff decision of, are these things, do we want to change them? Because there's nothing that says we have to, you know, but do we want to, or do we want to broaden the scope or narrow the scope? And that it just comes down to a decision-making process.
Right. Yeah, for the for the action plan, I was thinking of it more as like a strategic planning document, like
The
here's the
consolidated plan
goals that
is,
we're
yeah.
going to do. But it sounds like it's more, here's maybe the specific ways in which we're going to spend HUD money, not so much a broader policy agenda
Right,
for the
and-
city.
And the AI is more of a broad, is a policy,
Okay.
you know, and HUD's whole thinking behind this process is that we have our protected classes. How do our ordinances, our laws, and the regulations within the city meet the kind of community development that HUD wants to see us do? So it's, you know, I think that Rock Island does a pretty good job, you know, and Alan's going through it, and he's gonna set the consultant straight so that, you know, we can broaden it. And there are things that we can do. But, you know, from the last comp plan to this comp plan, I can tell you this. We, between the Quad Cities as a whole, we broadened our scope of transportation services. You know, Davenport added new lines, they added Sundays, they did all those things. We have a great transportation system here, you know, so there are things that were in the last analysis that have been made better, and we will take the things that are in this analysis and we will make them better. So, you know, every time we grow in this process and we add, or, you know, we narrow down things, we make it more equitable.
Yeah. Two procedural questions, maybe for Chandler and Randy. So there is a number of policy issues identified in the analysis for impediments to fair housing related to our zoning ordinance. Can we include that in the current revision that we're doing with the zone? I mean, would now be a good time to address that as we are redoing our zoning ordinance?
Absolutely. I think that anytime we get someone else, a third set of eyes to take a look at something, why not? I think it's good government to always look at things and try to find ways to make them pertinent and relevant to today. And so we'll look at these, include them as we go through the revisions to the planning and zoning documents.
Okay, wonderful. And then Randy, so there are a number of policy goals, or whatever you want to say, identified in that analysis to impediments to fair housing. As we are preparing to do like a strategic goal-setting session here for the council, how can we, as a city, include that as part of our strategic goals going forward? You know, I mean, we get periodic updates from you on the goals that we have set as a council, but it would be nice to get periodic updates from Colleen or somebody in CED about, so last year when HUD identified this zoning issue as, you know, potentially a problem for fair housing, here's where we're at on addressing that. I mean, how can the council remain informed on addressing these things?
Well, I think once we're through with this document and it's finished, then everything would be presented to council, and if there are some action steps we're taking in there, council could get a quarterly update. Just kind of depends what we decide on once we go through.
Okay.
And what kind of updates we're looking at.
Okay, I mean, like we've discussed, I don't know, it might be a good work session for this council to take time to go through that impediments document and look at the goals and say, is this something we want to do or not do, or whatever, you know, to have more of a formal, like, this is our, you know, this is the policy for the council, something like that. I don't know.
Yep, we can do that.
Maybe like, whether staff comes forward and having some recommendations, what their thoughts are first, and, yeah.
All right, sorry for the 16 questions. Thank you.
Fine, that's good questions. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak about this? All right, close the public meeting and reopen the regular meeting. We have now item number, I has to say 9.
10.
10, there we go. See, working on 10, thank you, keep me in line.
Claims A and B. A, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $4,280.66 to Serve Pro of Davenport, Iowa for a general liability claim. B, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $13,964 to Mid-America Basement Systems of Davenport, Iowa for a general liability claim.
Move to accept the reports and authorize payment as recommended for claims A and B.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
You.
And claims, C, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 19 in the amount of $673,292.31 to Civil Constructors Incorporated of East Moline, Illinois for the water filtration facility project for services provided from March 21st, 2019 through April 25th, 2019.
Move to accept the report and authorize payment as recommended. Second.
Moved in second, any discussion?
Due to the nature of my employment, I will be recusing myself from this vote. New council members, it's gonna happen a lot, sorry.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 11.
Claims for the week of May 10th through May 16th in the amount of $528,186.92.
Move to allow the claims.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 12.
ACH payments for the month of March 2019 in the amount of $1,709,028.26.
Move to approve the ACH payments.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 13.
Purchase card claims for the period of February 27th, 2019 through March 26th, 2019 in the amount of $59,031.76.
Motion to approve the purchase card claims.
Second.
Good.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 14.
Report from the Human Resources Department regarding the self-insurance program for 2019 to 2020, recommending approval of the self-insurance package recommended by Arthur J. Gallagher and recommending approval of payment to Arthur J. Gallagher in the amount of $409,154 for the insurance renewals.
Move to approve the self-insurance package and approve payment for the insurance renewals as recommended.
Second.
Some ties over here. Moved in second. Any discussion?
I have one question about the marina liability listed with the others down at the bottom of the first page. There's a NA in the column for 2019 and 2020. Could you explain that, John? I don't remember if that has something to do with the marina management or if it's not related, or maybe you can tell me.
That would be exactly right. I mean, since the city's not overseeing the marina, that's F3, so we wouldn't be responsible for that cost.
So the marina management is paying for the insurance there?
For basically the liability of that aspect of it here.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 15.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding the sole source purchase of replacement chains for the wastewater treatment plant fine screens from Headworks International Incorporated of Houston, Texas, in the amount of $82,562.77.
Move to approve the purchase as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 16.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding bids for a traffic detection system, recommending the bid be awarded to Grid Smart Technologies of Knoxville, Tennessee, in the amount of $18,261 for the Grid Smart Traffic Control System.
Move to award the bid as recommended and authorize the purchase.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Just a comment from the report, 50% of the cost that we're voting on, which is a little over $18,000, will be reimbursed to the city by the Illinois Department of Transportation. I thought that might be a fact that the public might want to know.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 17.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a project development agreement with Johnson Controls Incorporated of Arlington Heights, Illinois, for the development of a performance contract for energy capital improvement projects. Note, this item was postponed from the April 22nd, 2019 council meeting after a motion to reconsider the agenda items.
Move to enter into the project development agreement as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I do have a question. On the dates of the implementation, since it's been postponed a month, will those be adjusted or go forward as posted?
They will, so they're coming up with some new dates right now. They wanted to make sure everything was approved. And there is a caveat in there that allows for a date change.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, roll call.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Thank you. Item 18.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Moline to provide refuse collection and disposal for the Rock Island Arsenal.
Move to approve the intergovernmental agreement as recommended and authorize the mayor to execute the contract.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Didn't we just approve this?
We didn't approve this actual agreement. We approved a different agreement, and Mike can probably remind me exactly what maybe the first was a memorandum of understanding.
It was, you approved last time the ability to go into an intergovernmental agreement with Moline, and now we're bringing back the agreement, so.
Sounds good.
And we've been doing this for how many weeks now?
Since April 1st.
Since April 1st. It's going well.
Yeah, great stuff.
All right. Roll call, please. Oh, did you have something, James? I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm just waiting to say yes.
Okay. Roll call, please. Yep.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 19.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the calendar year 2019 one-year funding agreement between the City of Rock Island and the Community Caring Conference for services to be provided in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Move to approve the terms of the agreement as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement subject to any minor city attorney modifications.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussions?
Chandler, can you just come up here and briefly describe generally who's doing what?
Sure. CCC has been a real good partner for us and working with different neighborhoods. They provide a lot of block captains. Alderman Geenan and I attended a backyard barbecue in his districts. They try to get the neighborhood gathered up and make sure that we have a police representative, fire representative, myself, or CED, and Public Works to meet with the public. They also work on other engagement strategies within the neighborhood, so we find them to be rather effective for us in engaging the neighborhoods. And I think this is the third year we've worked with them on this agreement, so it's been really successful.
Have we had a contracted agreement like this in the past?
We did.
Oh, we did.
We did.
I didn't remember that. Cool.
Okay.
One more real quick. Are there any, hard deliverables or anything included in this agreement? Like you will organize 10 blocks or something?
Not necessarily numbers like that,
Okay.
but the fact that we're engaged with them and we go to a lot of their block parties, we do work with them on some of their handouts that they like to hand out. Might be the magnets that have all the department heads and information on them, National Night Out, things like that. So they do a lot of those things. We know we're engaged with them. We do ask for some accounting information. How was the money spent? So we know that what we're giving them is actually being used for these things. So.
And so they gave you that last year, some of those things last
I think we're
year.
still working on getting that, 'cause they're a small, a very, very small nonprofit. If we ask for a full audit, it would cost
Understood.
more than what we're giving them, so we try to find a document that'll work for all of us.
Okay.
Is that, so this is part of the just city budget CIP, right? Isn't that where this comes in? Or this doesn't go through the CAC, right?
Correct, CIP.
Okay. Can we get that audit for this year's budget CIP process, you know, like we talked about for this most recent one?
Yes, we'll have all that by the time we look at this again.
Cool, thank you.
Do new council members understand or know what CCC is, or Community Caring Conference? Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to, sometimes we work in these acronyms and all that sort of thing, and.
CAC, CCC.
Yes, exactly. So
HEB.
I still get lost on some of them, so I mean, it just make sure everybody understands. Okay?
So I just want to call attention to attachment 1, which lists the services to be performed by CCC, which is the very last page, is page 8 of the document. I'm not going to read them all, but they're there for people's reference if you want to see what is required. Some of them are general, like crime prevention activities. That could be a lot of different things, like graffiti removal, for
I think,
example.
I'm sorry, I think Dylan was saying he wanted something hard, so he can see not just crime prevention, but actually what
Yeah.
they're actually doing. That's the way I took your statement.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that we should continue moving in that direction with all of the agreements or contracts that we have with these types of organizations. I think we're working our way there.
So I think they can give you what you're asking for. They keep good records.
All right. Need a roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 20.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property at 1716 Fifth Street to Diane Johnson for $5 plus closing costs.
Move to approve the purchase agreement as recommended, authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents, and consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? I just got roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 21.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property, parcel 103058, to Dwayne and Joy Hill for $858 plus closing costs.
Move to approve the purchase agreement as recommended, authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents and consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulos.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 22.
Report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the calendar year 2019 budget, increasing the Downtown TIF Fund 201 expenditures by $100,000 in order to comply with the executed agreement with Second Avenue Investment Group Incorporated.
Move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 23.
Report from the city attorney regarding procedural rules for city council meetings.
Move to adopt the proposed rules as recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I have a question or two. On Exhibit A, the second page of the report, it's, the third sentence down says each speaker will have 5 minutes to address council and only one opportunity to speak. So my two questions are, is there no opportunity for rebuttal if someone else gets up and says something contradictory? And they can't say, well, that's not true, this is the way I see it, or this is the truth, or,
My opinion, and I'll let the city clerk and that sort of thing respond, but my first would be only if they're called upon. If the council or myself, I guess, feel that there has to be or should be, because the concern is you could go back and forth all night long in 5 minutes each one, and at some point you've got to call that.
well, we might not know if it's true or untrue. But that goes to my next question, which is there an opportunity then for questions from council?
Typically, there
During the
is not.
process.
Typically not. It's a one-way feed, typically on the open meetings, or meetings like we've had at the end and everything else, is typically we listen versus respond back. Now, once again, it's open to the evening, the topic. If there's just one person and there's time and it's a topic that we feel passionate about or need to talk about, we can, but typically, and most times not. It's just we listen.
Well, I'm concerned about being bound by rules that we may or may not want to follow at the time. The other question, or the third question I have is, this is titled Proposed Public Comment Rules Policy, using the word rules. But then further down, in bold print, it says on the second portion of the Exhibit A is general guidelines for speakers. So I don't know if we,
I think,
ones we want to call what? What's a rule and what's a guideline?
I think the idea was that the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences under the rules section are the rules that govern the public speaking part of the meeting, and then the guidelines are sort of the guidelines for speakers in drafting the material that they want to say to the council. So it is a rule that the public comment portion of the meeting will be held after the moment of silence, and, or at least it's a proposed rule if we adopt it. And then the guidelines are, you know, be concise with your comments, if that makes sense. The top half is governing how it's going to be organized in the meeting. The bottom half is what people should expect when they.
So I think it should be a rule, you should be concise with your comments.
Well, and again, not like 2 motions ago, I suspended the very rules that we operate under and passed the ordinance without a second reading. So we have, you know, with Robert's Rules of Order, or whatever it is called, we have full authority to suspend any rule that we want to, that we enact. So at any time, if, just like now, if a person from the public wants to address us at the podium, at the end of the meeting, if we want to just sit here and be quiet, we have no obligation to respond to them. However, if we want to, which sometimes we do, we can.
My 5 minutes is up.
But I think we do want to make it a rule, a timeline is a rule.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you won't have any real authority to cut them off, because it would be just a guideline.
Yeah, unless we wanted to suspend the rule if somebody wanted to speak for longer than 5 minutes and we were interested in what they had to say.
The mayor has that opportunity to do that, so
Correct.
I think I'm in agreement with Alderwoman Swanson that we make it a rule. Now, the
Hector,
expert.
did you
will-
want to say something?
He will tell us.
No, the city attorney doesn't have anything to say when the elected officials carry the ball so well.
There you go. Judith? You all right?
Should've
I
became a
agree with
lawyer.
most of your comments.
Most, if you don't agree with all, speak up.
Well, yeah, the top part are the rules. That's the hard and fast stuff. The bottom part was guidelines for the speaker, so they know what is expected of them in making their presentation to council.
Why do you disagree? What is your hesitation with the 5-minute rule?
Oh, no, I don't have any hesitation with that, other than, since we're doing it at the beginning, if we start allowing for rebuttal and we start getting into a lot of questions and back and forth, it could go, I mean, you've
Oh, I'm in
seen it at
agreement with
the end
that.
of the
Oh, yeah, I'm in
meeting,
agreement
how
with-
long we go on for.
Yeah.
So we're just, you know, that's all, my only concern, that we be mindful of our timeline to get back to the other business too.
Okay?
And part of my concern with that is keeping it at 5 minutes, because we do have a 30-minute timeline, and would not like to see somebody who comes for public comment and someone else goes on, and then they get bumped to the end of the meeting. They will not be happy.
Or to be consistent, that, especially since we're going to the beginning of the meeting, that everybody gets their 5 minutes.
And the thought would be is to prioritize those in the first 30 minutes to talk about items that may be, that are on the agenda. And if somebody has, if we have time for then other things, we'll do that. Otherwise, those would wait till the end if you do, so the agenda items go first if there's anybody on there.
So I have one more question, and that is what happens to the sign-up for comments or questions from the public at the end of our meeting?
It'll all be one sign-up sheet.
Just one
And
sign-up
we'll work
sheet.
through that sign-up sheet. If 30 minutes are up, we'll stop, and then those get continued at the end.
And then what happens at the end?
We'll continue if we miss some. If some do not get taken care of, go ahead, Ray.
So there's no sign up for the end anymore.
So if someone wants to speak when we're at the end of our meeting, they don't get to speak?
Are we still doing a new business section at the end for the council?
For the council, we are, but we're not,
Not
so
the
if someone speaks, now they speak, the public comment that was at the end is now moved to the front.
What if they're not here at the beginning of the meeting?
Well, they should be here at the beginning of the meeting.
Can't say that.
I mean, I'm
People
just,
have obligations, and they're all different.
Yeah.
Some people can come early, some people can come late.
I don't see any reason why we can't, at the end of the meeting, after we've had the opportunity at the very beginning, if people don't want to stick around for the whole point of this, the genesis was, why do we make people wait around for 3 hours for us to get done with our council meeting before they address us about some tree in their yard, right? Like, it's just a waste of our citizens' time. So, in the new business section at the end of the council meeting, why don't we just informally have the mayor or whomever say, is there anybody out there that wants to say anything?
It's
Well,
called
I-
other business.
I
You're
think that
talking about other business, not new business.
That defeats the purpose of having public comment at the beginning.
That's,
I mean, I kind of feel like if it's important enough for you to address city council, then it's important enough for you to be here at the beginning of the meeting. If you can't be here at the beginning of the meeting, then perhaps you need to contact your alderperson,
Yeah.
who can then go ahead and ask the council for a special, obligation for you to talk at the end. But I think otherwise, then you get public comment at the beginning and at the end, and then it becomes kind of a free-for-all at both times.
Agree with that.
So I have constituents who work, for example, running their own business, and they can't be here at the beginning of the meeting. Or they might be able to with great difficulty. Why shouldn't we be able to have opportunity to speak at the beginning? And then if there's still people who want to speak at the end, allow them to speak at the end?
I think that's just too much. Either let's have it at the beginning or at the end. I'll agree with either one, but I'm not agreeing with both. So if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna do it, let's do it like it was proposed, the way I understood that it was being proposed. Beginning of the meeting.
The way that I'm understanding, and I planned on running it, is that we're gonna do it in the beginning, 5 minutes apiece for 30 minutes. If there's people that are here that did not get a chance to do it in that 30 minutes, we will then make an exception at
fair.
the end, so they do not feel left out.
That's fair.
But if everybody got in on that 30 minutes, then we would probably cut it off.
Why?
That's what
It seems arbitrary, and I mean, it takes 2 seconds for us to say, at the end of the meeting, oh, by the way, was anybody daydreaming out there when we got to this, or were you here late? I mean,
yeah. I think we're really small, we're splitting hairs here, I think, and we can play it and see how it goes. We've changed it now, we can always change it again, or those are the rules that we can adapt with if we find we need to. There's those topics sometimes that are really hot and everybody wants to speak, and we'll have to deal with that and give everybody the opportunity that they deserve. So let's just, my personal opinion is I think we're really trying to split hairs in small parts on this. Let's try to do it in the beginning and see what happens. If we have to put some in the end, we will work with that.
So can we just get clarification on what we're voting for now, so I'll know?
5-minute increments in the first 30 minutes of the city council meeting.
If they're already signed up, then they can speak afterwards. Okay.
Well, if they signed up and we've gone through already 30 minutes worth of public speaking,
Yes,
then the
that's what I
rest of
mean.
them can come to the
Exactly.
very end.
Thank you.
My only last comment is, nothing bothers me more than when a public body, says, oh, you've met your 3 minutes, that's enough, I mean, that just seems like an excuse, frankly, to not hear from their
They can come back
constituents.
next week. It's not the end of the world there.
I know.
And we can't be here all night, Dylan.
I understand, I'm just,
We'll play it out.
yeah,
Play it out. Go ahead.
I'm fine with that.
Well, I was just, Dave and I did have a conversation about that very thing. And when we have it at the end of the meeting, if you notice, a lot of speakers who come forward after 5 minutes, they kind of repeat and repeat and repeat. We're trying to encourage them, okay, you get 5 minutes at the beginning, please be as concise as possible.
Yep.
That's what it is right now.
I agree.
All right. I believe we need a roll call for this.
Alderman Spargettis.
No.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
6 ayes, 1 nay, motion carried.
Item 24.
Report from the Information Technology Department regarding an amendment to the cellular phone stipend policy for mobile devices.
Move to adopt the stipend policy amendment as recommended and authorize the city manager to establish a $20 per month mobile device reimbursement stipend.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Just to clarify, a paragraph on page 1 of the report, not the front page, but the next page is numbered page 1. The city will continue to provide and support cell phones that have been designated for department usage. So that means that if a councilman has a city phone issued to them, they can continue to keep that phone while they're serving their term. They don't have to go to
That's the intention.
a new plan
Right.
with a stipend.
Right.
Thank you.
Is this for elected officials as well, or is this just for city staff?
Optional for elected officials, but staff it will be, that's how we'll do it. Unless there's some, so for instance, provide and support cell phones that have been designated for department usage. Some cell phones are not given to a person, it's like the third shift cell phone.
Right.
And so that will still be provided. This is for really personal use of people that want to use a tablet. And as was briefed, that we get there's some issues that then IT has to deal with, and it's just easier if we can just do the stipend, the same thing that we follow for the phone policy, and aldermen can go either way on that.
Okay.
Okay? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 25.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding revisions to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 4, Article 1, relating to building permit fees.
Approve the proposed license fee increases as recommended and refer, I skipped one. Move to approve the proposed revisions to the building permit fees as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Are these codifying the study session we had a while ago?
Chris, I didn't, yeah.
That's correct.
Any other discussion, questions? Roll call, please. Get off easy.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 26.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding revisions to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 7, Article 3, relating to food and beverage license fees.
Move to approve the proposed license fee increases as recommended and refers to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Is this only just increasing fees, or is there any changes to what the licenses apply to?
Actually, this is just for the fees. It would be Chapter 7, Article 3, provisions for licensing. It's kind of miswording because it says provisions for licensing, but it's just the fee structure.
Okay. And then, I forgot to ask at the last one, but it's still pertinent. So, were either of these ran by the private sector that apply for these permits and fees and whatnot? I think the last one for the buildings, we reached out to the Home Builders Association, right? Something like that?
Yes, I had met with the Quad City Buildings Remodelers Association on April 7th
Okay.
with their legislative committee and vetted the process through them. And because it was more of a fee adjustment than were increases, there were some minor increases to the trade permits. They had no concerns. And then it was also vetted through the AGC with Mr. Tondi. And actually, I did have a follow-up meeting with him on Friday, and there was no issues.
Are they gonna update the code that they have listed for the city of Rock Island on their website?
That came up.
Kind of
Yeah,
outdated.
the Augustana College currently does their website, and they've been on spring break and now gone, so.
Did we reach out to anybody about the food and beverage license fees?
Yes, both those organizations also, yes.
Okay.
When we were up at the opening of the park by Cool Beans, we had a mobile truck up there, and he was saying to me how he appreciated that Rock Island had the lowest fees for the mobile food trucks. It looks like we're gonna be upping ours to $100 from 80.
Yes, that's
And would that
proposed.
put us on par with all the other cities?
Yeah,
locally?
we're actually still under.
Okay, so Moline's still at 100?
Moline's the highest. We came in about third, and we checked Bettendorf, Davenport, Moline, East Moline, Rock Island. So we're right in the middle of all the fees.
Sounds good.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 27.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding terms of a food and beverage tax rebate agreement with Jaswinder Singh for the development of a Save More grocery store at 625 26th Street in an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Move to approve the terms as recommended, direct staff to work with legal counsel to draft a development agreement subject to minor modifications by the city attorney, and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Moving second. Any discussion?
Are they open?
Yes, they're not yet. The Wednesday at 8 a.m. I was going to make that comment. So they would like to have as many, at this point, council people there if they could, just to, they're not having an official ribbon cutting at this point, but looking for some cheerleaders, so to speak, when they open up. So I plan on being there at 8 and
Why no,
encourage them and everything else. What's that?
why no ribbon cutting?
They will be later. They wanted to get open and get settled first.
Soft.
So at this point,
Soft opening, got it.
they're not, but still encouraged everybody to be there if they could, so. But this Wednesday, 8 a.m. is when they open. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 28.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request from James Cox to remove the traffic signals at the intersection of 20th Street and 7th Avenue and replace them with four-way stop signs.
All right, I'm not so sure about whether this is the motion that I want to actually end on, but to get the conversation going, move to approve the traffic signal removal and installation of a two-way stop control for north and southbound approaches on 20th Street at the 7th Avenue intersection as recommended, and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mike, can you speak to why we're going with the two-way instead of a four-way?
If you can see in the report, it operates at a level of service of A or B compared to, at a two-way stop compared to a four-way stop. So the level of service is best at a two-way stop compared, based off of the traffic counts and the traffic movements.
Do we think by having a four-way stop, we're gonna be bunching up traffic on 7th Avenue?
I think it's a possibility.
Okay.
at a four-way stop. That's why another reason why we opted to go with the two-way. For the east-west movements, the east-west, you have over 1,000 cars going east-west each day, compared to about 300 cars north and south.
Yeah. So the citizen, right, Mr. Cox, requested a four-way, and I've had constituents reach out to me about a four-way as well. The concern, I think obviously, is pedestrian and bicycle crossing at 7th Avenue, trying to get across 7th if there's no east-west stop device of some type. Talking about walkability and all that good stuff, it's really nice having the neighborhoods right there, so close to downtown. I mean, I walk that route to come here to City Hall. My kids walk that route to go play a Schwiebert or whatever. Have we considered like a pedestrian button light of some sort there to kind of like, where are other places around the Quad Cities where it's always green unless a pedestrian pushes the button and then it stops so that people can cross there? It just seems like a place where people might get stopped.
No, we have not, and obviously the reason why we're considering this today was the request that came in.
Yeah.
We could certainly look at that, but I would hold off on approving this tonight if that was something that we would want to look at.
You would recommend holding off on approving this whole thing if we were,
Well, if you wanted to do something different,
Well, yeah, if you did a traffic signal, the whole intersection would be signalized then, because you can't just put a light at one corner, you'd have to stop both sides. So essentially, you'd have what you had now, just reprogrammed somewhat, I guess. Well,
So, yeah, program just so when people walk, they push the button,
Yeah.
otherwise it doesn't
well,
change.
no, because then you'd hit a red light and you'd
That's
always be
right.
sitting there in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we done any studies, though, to see what kind of pedestrian traffic we have down there, and one or two people, or clearly the traffic east-west warrants a,
Especially with the
Oh, yeah.
74 bridge.
And one of the, I think the complaint from your constituent is that he came down 20th Street and there wasn't any cross traffic, and he had to wait until the light changed. So that tells me there probably isn't even though there's 1,000 cars a day, that's not a lot in a
No, yeah.
24-hour period. So,
I know.
we
It's-
could wait and see if it's an issue for people to get across there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so, totally objected to this. I just like to facilitate pedestrian and bicycle traffic.
It's a
as much
difficult
as I can.
to put a four-way stop there because of all the lanes.
Mhm,
That gets very confusing.
Yep, okay.
I'm suggesting that we follow the staff recommendation for a two-way stop and see how it works out, a two-way stop sign on the north-south bound traffic. And then if there's a difficulty crossing, then we can try to solve that problem with putting two more stop signs in or going to some sort of signalized traffic control if possible. It won't be hard to figure out once, because now the season is beginning where lots of people are gonna be out walking and biking and driving places, and we'll know in a short amount of time.
I guess my concern with this is there's a traffic light there currently, correct?
That's correct.
So I don't know how you're gonna put a walk light if there's no traffic light there. I mean, you can't attach something to a stop sign to make people stop. I guess I would suggest, because of the work on the 74 bridge and the fact that barge traffic is gonna resume and increase on, with the Arsenal Bridge, and with it being summertime and more people walking downtown, I guess I would like us to table this till after the summer and perhaps do a study on how many people are walking across that street.
Of course, with that extra traffic going east and west because of 74 and that sort of thing, you're really going to back them up. We continue to back them up versus they keep flowing.
But I think you'll back them up more with the stop sign.
No, they
Or
won't.
it won't be on
It's the
7th,
other
it'll
way.
be
It's the other way.
It's only north and south that'll have a stop sign.
Right.
Yeah.
When you do traffic count tests, do you look at pedestrian traffic at all?
No.
Can we start doing that for all?
We can add it in. It's additional cost, but it's something that we can cover.
I mean, I think that it might be a wise move, just so that we can know something about pedestrian movement.
Use that in the future.
Yeah.
Any other
How would-
discussion?
How would you do that, count pedestrian traffic? Would you have to have a camera, or would you do it in some other way?
These are all done with a consultant, and they go out and physically sit at the site for the hours that the survey is done, and with essentially a ticker. And they count the movements. And so that would be just another thing that they're looking for, is pedestrians crossing, which way they're going and how many.
Well, in the meantime, I'm continuing my second for the motion for a two-way stop, and then see what happens.
If we're gonna talk about a light, though, I think it is wise to not do anything now, because we have lights there right now, and if we're gonna end up keeping the lights based on a study we wanna do this summer, I wouldn't change it and then change it back to lights.
Yeah, if you were going to do what Alderman Spagetta said and, go with a two-way stop and monitor that and see how it goes, if we were gonna move that out, go that route, we would just bag those things. We would not remove any signals. We would just cover them up and see how it flows. When you do that, though, when you have something covered up with a black bag, or like we did at the last one at forget which street that was, 17th Street, I'm sorry, with the orange snow fence around them, that does confuse them, so they slow or caution with that anyway, so you don't really get a true representative of how it's flowing.
Well, I mean, there's an old crosswalk for Lincoln School by Carpelli's Manuscript Museum right there on 22nd and 7th Avenue right now. The cross beams are still there, the lights are gone, but just something like that, where if we wanted to install some way for pedestrians to go north to south or south to north across 7th Avenue, if we're not gonna have any more lighted intersections between 24th and 15th or 17th.
17th.
Right.
That's the same thing that they wanted to have at Eugene Field School.
Yeah.
For the crossing across for the students, and that was, the cost was about $60,000 to do that.
60,000? Holy cow.
Yeah, you're putting in foundations, putting new mast arms, and running
We
electrical.
can't use
and
the old
programming.
ones? We can't, hang on them to see if they'll hold?
Well,
the
at
weight?
22nd Street, you could, well, I mean, I guess they're really, I don't know if they'd be in a proximity of.
Two streets
You
down.
probably could, but again, there would be, you still have a cost there. I'm not
Right.
sure if we could reuse those, but.
But if we covered those up, and maybe Chief Van Huysen could answer this, doesn't that statutorily make that a four-way stop?
Yeah, it's pretty confusing if you saw what it was like down here when those were covered up, it's pretty confusing for drivers, nobody.
Right.
Because they see the light still there, and
Yeah.
People stop
I
once
think
they're
we had
covered
an
up.
accident there already with that.
Lights are.
But do we put ourselves at any liability if we create a four-way stop and then somebody doesn't stop by just covering them up?
yeah, if the lights are there, you would stop, see, because that's the rule when you come up to a non-working light.
And we would install stop signs, right?
Yeah, that's all I was gonna add, that if it's a non-functioning light, they're obligated to stop, but I suppose if it's altered or covered up, there may not be that obligation. Not 100% on that.
Okay,
But I
thank
think
you.
it would create some confusion.
Tim, do you have something to say? I,
Couldn't hear what he said.
When they're bagged, they're out of service, they're not working.
Right.
I would be fine with just passing the motion as it is, and then, I'm not saying that we have to or whatever, but if there is an issue with pedestrian traffic, north to south, south to north, then maybe we can look at things like installing a pedestrian light at 22nd Street or something like that.
Or adding the stop sign the other way.
Yeah.
Does the existing lights there have a pedestrian crossing push button already? Yeah, so the existing signals that are there already have the pedestrian push button to cross.
On 20th,
Correct.
right. But we're removing,
south,
we
or
would be
north-south
removing the
cross.
masts, we would be removing the beams or whatever the heck they're called if we were to pass this.
I was just referencing if we were gonna reinstall something later, that you could leave what's there. Yes, the people are still stopping, but you would already have that service available.
I would say don't leave what's there. If we pass a motion to change it to a two-way stop sign, get rid of the light, right? Question?
All right, are we ready? Enough discussion? We've got a motion out there in a second. Let's do roll call.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson. No. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis,
Aye.
Keenan,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Hurt,
Yes.
6 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carried.
Item 29, it's been a while here.
Report from the city clerk regarding 2019 event requests from Jason Paris of Wake Brewing for outdoor entertainment with sound amplification and the outdoor sale and consumption of alcohol in the fenced-in area at 2529 Fifth Avenue.
Move to approve the requests as recommended, subject to complying with all liquor license regulations and subject to being shut down early if complaints are received.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis,
Yes.
Swanson,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis,
Aye.
Keenan,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Hurt,
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 30,
Report from the city clerk regarding a plaza activity event application from Randy Flowers of the Rock Island County NAACP for a Juneteenth community celebration on Wednesday, June 19, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Move to approve the plaza event as recommended.
Second.
moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 31,
Report from the city clerk regarding requests from Pastor Linda Sargent of Heart of Hope Ministries for a street closing of 19th Street between 8th Avenue and 9th Avenue, along with sound amplification for a block party to be held on Saturday, June 22nd, 2019, from noon to 2 p.m.
Move to approve the request as recommended.
Second.
moved in second. Any discussion?
One comment, seeing as how I'm gonna roll with not wasting our citizens' time. Is there any reason that we reserve these types of motions for the very end of the council meeting?
There's a certain order that we conduct business in.
Is there any way that we can change that order to do this sort of arbitrary stuff towards the beginning?
Most of these people usually aren't here. I mean, because it,
Randy's right there.
I know it. I mean, a lot of times they're here, but either way.
I mean, why not just do this stuff at the very beginning?
My question is why? I'm not for it or against it. I'm just asking what your reasoning is.
It rarely has discussion. It's just sort of a formality. I mean, when have we ever denied one of these things? Frankly, I don't even know why we approve these, right? Like, we should just delegate this authority to the city clerk or something to that effect. But, I mean, we make people who want to have a block party sit for an hour or whatever. I don't know. We don't have to. I'm just saying. I came to city council a couple of years ago when I got married asking for a sound amplification permit, and I had to sit through the whole meeting, and back then I didn't care, so.
Because typically we don't have to speak either. So
Yeah, I mean, they don't speak. I mean, it's just sort of like this formality that we do. Why not do it at the very beginning so that they can go on with their lives? Yes, Judith?
I do like having council approve this kind of thing, because then if someone complains, it's not just the bad staff that let somebody do something. The council has approved it, and you're talking sound amplification, street closings, which affect the neighbors. Judith will side with you on this, because we've had this discussion, but
Yeah, I know.
I like having the council look at it, because we are closing down a city street, and we are amplifying sound that could cause an issue for neighbors.
And it's in, I believe it's in the Code of Ordinances too, isn't it? That's why you told me we had to do, yeah. But there is a certain structure and format and in terms of which items, the order in which items are done
Okay.
for the council.
Is that set by like Robert's Rules of Orders or state statute or?
It's been the way it's been done for a very long time. But
Never a good reason.
I was gonna say the
give
City
you an
Clerks
example,
Association.
yeah. Like, you'll notice ordinances that have no reports, resolutions that have no reports. Those are done at the very beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
Then we move into payment of claims and other payments. Then we move into purchases and awarding bids, and then agreements, and then we do ordinances and resolutions that have reports. There's just a certain,
So I think I'm understanding what Dylan's trying to do. We could just as easily, if we wanted to, put the permits from the requested through the city clerk at the beginning of the meeting, right after the public comment, and then do all of our other business like claims and purchases, which the public usually doesn't have any interest in, basically, other than listening to us talk about it.
Yeah.
And I see your point, Dylan. I could agree with that.
Oh, man, I am meddling with the way in which we do our agendas, people. This is great.
But it makes sense this time. I'm messing with you, Dylan.
No worries. Well, I guess, fellow council people, what do we think about having the city council approve these? I know Randy wants it that way, but, you know, what's your guys' thoughts on it?
You're gonna go too far again.
Well, it does give someone in the neighborhood, if they want to object to it, gives them the opportunity to come in and say something that might change the mind of one of the council members. So-
Are neighbors informed of when people apply for these permits?
Well, it's on the agenda, which is published.
oh, well, if you're applying for street closing or sound amplification, you're supposed to take the petition around to all the neighbors who would be affected and get their approval or disapproval.
Do people do that?
Oh, yes.
Does it
But,
come?
but only the immediate neighbors, you know, anyone driving through is affected by a street closing, and someone 2 blocks away can be affected by sound amplification.
I understand
I mean,
all
that's-
of that. I'm just saying I don't need to be the one that makes that decision.
But you'll
If-
be the one that'll get a phone call.
Yeah, I get a phone call for all sorts of things that I don't make the decision on, right? You know, I don't know. If nobody else agrees with you, that's fine.
Sounds like at this point, nobody's,
Yeah.
I don't agree
Not
with
the
the
last,
second
it's
one.
not
I
the
agree
first
with-
time, won't be the last time.
Don't
But
agree with the second.
Can we
agree with the
change the, Judith, can we change the agenda order?
he's gonna take his one and go
I would
home.
prefer you don't, but that's
Ah.
up to you.
Okay, that's not, at this point, we can take a look at that, but that's officially not on the agenda, what order and everything else, so
All
to
right,
discuss.
all right.
Okay?
Where were we?
I think that we need a roll call for this. I think that's where we were.
One quick
Yes, we
question before that. I wasn't even gonna bring this up, but since we're so concerned about all these things. With regards to petitioning the neighbors, is there any rule or guideline about how many of the signatures have to be on the street that's affected versus surrounding streets and neighbors? For example, this petition has 14 signatures. 5 of them are on the street that they're asking to close, and 9 of them are not on the street. They're like down the block, around the corner, 2 blocks away, et cetera. And I don't have any objection to this. I'm gonna vote yes for it, but I was struck by the fact that the majority of the signatures were not on the street that they're having the closing, the block party closed street. Is there any guidance on that?
There is none that I'm aware of, other than there's a general guideline of 75% of the signatures. If they come in to pick up the application, I ask them what it is they're trying to do, and I try to create the map for them, and then we look at it together, because they'll say, okay, who do I have to get signatures from? And then, because there's a lot of streets that there may be 2 neighbors only on the street, you know, and this particular one, I did ask about the very thing you just brought up, and the answer was where they were holding it at one particular end, that's why they went to the other street and got those neighbors. And this one was brought in by Amitra Community Caring Conference.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Let's vote.
Alderman Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 32, other business. Council have anything? There's nobody that signed up back there.
I have one brief thing. I've had a couple of, we'll call them complaints or concerns about lanes of traffic for automobiles and bike lanes in two areas. And I don't want to get into a lot of specifics right now, but I want to look into this a little bit with maybe the cooperation of the city manager and staff to find out if there's anything we can do to improve before things get striped again on the street. Improve the usage of the lanes. For example, I will mention one or two to give you examples so you know what I'm talking about. 7th Avenue between 15th Street and 17th Street, there's a really odd lineup of turn lanes and forward lanes, and I don't know if there's a better solution or not, but I'd like to take a look at it and maybe bring it back to council, either in a meeting or in goal-setting session. The other area that I received complaints about were in my ward, in the 3rd Ward, on 17th Street from 31st Avenue going south towards the Rifac Center. There are some bike lanes and parking lanes and traffic lanes, and people, I mean, I haven't received a huge amount of calls, but some people are not happy and don't feel comfortable with the way things are laid out. So I'm just bringing that up so people will be aware of it, and maybe if you hear of similar complaints, you can talk to me, or we can talk, like I said, maybe in a future council meeting or goal setting.
Okay.
Yeah. I've received complaints about those very areas as well.
The same areas or different areas?
Same.
So there may or may not be anything we can do about it, but I'd like to look at it.
Yeah, I would think that it would require us to do a sort of a comprehensive bike lane plan, and whether we have the funding to do something like that or not.
Well, I'm not talking about the whole city, I'm just talking about those two areas for now.
Sure.
You can do a comprehensive plan.
I know some people that are interested in it.
And I wasn't able to attend the last meeting due to a death in the family, but I wanted to welcome the alderman and alderwoman aboard and wish you well, and look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you.
You missed the party.
Cookies?
Any other council members?
Did we have anybody in the public that wanted to speak?
Nobody signed up at this point. I don't know if there's anybody out there who wants to speak, but nobody signed up.
Too late.
Yeah, that's exactly. Didn't sign up.
No. No,
The,
too late nonsense.
I do want to bring up library, summer reading. There is, I believe, 7 or 8 or so of the yard signs up here on the table. Encourage each one of the council members to take one of those and put them in their yard, help support the library. And for the summer months, I don't know if there's dates on it or not, I can't remember. There's dates on it when to, so encouraged to help promote that. Everybody take one of those. Anything else for the good of the cause? Okay, then we are on item 33.
Executive session, 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives. And 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, C12, the establishment of reserves or settlement of claims as provided in the Local Governmental and Governmental Employees Tort Immunity Act. If otherwise, the disposition of a claim or potential claim might be prejudiced, or the review or discussion of claims, loss or risk management information, records, data, advice, or communications from or with respect to any insurer of the public body or any intergovernmental risk management association or self-insurance pool of which the public body is a member.
Motion to go into executive session for the exceptions cited.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Spargettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Long meeting there.